Hi, it's me, Vicki Marie. Um, so we've had a couple of Pyrrhic victories, haven't we? Last night or yesterday and this morning. Of course, yesterday Danilo Cavalcante was caught by Yoda, the police dog. We know that humans had a little bit to do with it as well, but we're really concentrating on the dog, of course. And of course, then the news this morning that I'm waking up to, or late last night, it was coming through that Sara Sharif, poor little Sara, her father, stepmother, and uncle are back in the UK, and they've been arrested on suspicion of murder. And when I talk about a Pyrrhic victory, I don't know if you've ever heard this expression, but it's a victory that takes such a toll on the people, the people that have won, if you like, that it's almost not a victory because it takes such a devastating toll. So maybe there's been so many casualties, even though a battle has been won, but the toll that it's taken. And that's how I feel about both the Danilo Cavalcante capture and this thing with Sara. And it's so good that her father and stepmother and uncle are finally going to be held accountable, finally going to be interviewed. Because whatever happened to Sara, something bad happened, didn't it, in that house? Sustained injuries. In fact, they haven't been able to establish yet the cause of her death, but she had sustained injuries that it was thought that had been sustained over lengths of time. So that girl. So although this is what I'm trying to say. So they're victories in the sense that Danilo has been captured, but of course it doesn't bring back his victims. His ex-girlfriend that he murdered in front of her two little children. Sara's father, stepmother, and uncle have been arrested, but it doesn't bring little Sara back or, change the fact that she had a miserable life, bless her, by the sounds of it. And nobody, the social services let her down. So they're hollow victories, aren't they? Because it's so exciting when Danilo was captured. But ultimately, I mean, it is brilliant. Of course it is, because now the family of his ex-girlfriend, who he threatened, can rest easy. The residents of Pennsylvania, they can rest easy at night without knowing that, without worrying that he's going to just turn up on the doorstep. So of course it is a victory, but it's also got that hollowness to it because he'll be returned to prison. I mean, I don't think he'll ever escape again. My God, what they're going to do? Probably tie him, shackle him to the something. I mean, he's got to be controlled, hasn't he? He's got to be put in a very high security prison. And for Sara, it is good news, of course. The best news is that the other children, the 5 other children, are not with the parents. And putting children in care is not a brilliant option, but sometimes it's better than leaving them with the parents. But I just want to have a look at the article in Sky News about Sara. So the details were that Sara was found dead at her home in Woking in Surrey on the 10th of August. And of course, her father, Irfan Sharif, the stepmother, Baynash Batul, and the uncle, Faisal Malik, they believe that they travelled on the 9th of August to Pakistan, because what they did was they travelled to Pakistan, then they phoned I think this is what they think happened. The father then telephoned and said he was concerned about Sarah, but she was already dead. And there she is. And as you know, if you've watched any of these videos, I don't like that picture, although she looks beautiful, but to me, she's too womanized in that picture. I don't know, and almost being told to smile. It doesn't look like a genuine smile. She's probably terrified. Anyway, so they came back and they were detained at Gatwick Airport, and just after 7:30 p.m. yesterday, and they've been arrested on suspicion of connection with her death. Do you see what I'm saying? On that picture of her, although she looks beautiful, she doesn't look like her smile is coming from the heart somehow. Anyway, so two men aged 41 and 28 and a 29-year-old woman were currently in custody. You know, the father just looks awful. I'm sorry, but he does. He just looks evil to me. He really does. He's just awful. Anyway, so Sarah was found dead at her home after a man identifying himself as her father called 999 from Pakistan. So he left his dead daughter in the house on her own. I believe, and I don't know if this is true or not, I might mention it, they dressed her, she was in her pajamas and they put her in her bed. But, you know, she was dead. They knew she was dead and they left deliberately, went to Pakistan. Phoned up, said he was her father and said he was concerned about his daughter. Anyway, a passenger on that flight that they've just arrived on last night told Sky News that police officers boarded the plane as soon as it landed and arrested the three suspects, who remained calm and complied with the officers' instructions. And the passenger said the suspects were taken off the flight before anyone else. Now, gosh, I was going to say something, then it's gone right out of my head. Yeah, they gave themselves up in the end, not because they have nowhere to go. That's basically what happened. I think they'd run out of options. The children were with the grandfather, and they were obviously going from place to place, and they're probably running out of friendly faces. There's people getting annoyed with them because the Pakistani police, you know, were going around all these places looking for them. And I suppose anyone who had put, at some point, somebody must have put them up here or there. People were getting angry because they were getting hassle from the police. So I expect what happened is they went from place to place, and in the end, nobody wanted them there. And especially when the details came out about why they were there, you know, once it transpired, they look likely that well, they have murdered her one way or another, even if it was an accident that they were abusing her, but they didn't mean to kill her, maybe. But what's the difference? To me, there is no difference. Anyway, and then Sarah's mother, who's Eastern European, she'd been informed of the arrests. So yeah, it's a very strange situation, because it's a situation where Sara had been taken off her mother and given the custody had been given to the father, and as we all know, that is unusual. So for that to have happened, there's some deep problems with Sarah's mother. For what? Maybe she didn't have a fixed place to live. Maybe she's got some substance abuse problems. Who knows? But it is unusual, isn't it? Maybe they put Sarah in the family environment. I just don't know. We don't know the details of that. But apparently she's been informed of the arrests, and the police said our thoughts remain with her and those affected by Sarah's death at this difficult time. This has been an extremely fast-moving, challenging and complex inquiry, and we remain absolutely committed to conducting a thorough investigation into Sarah's death. We will not be commenting any further at this point, and we will provide further updates as and when we are able to. There you go. That's all you have to say. You know, just keep the public informed. You don't have to be defensive. You know, going back to Lancashire Police again over Nicola Bulley's case. This is what I'll never understand about that case. You know, the defensiveness, the attacks on the public. You saw, if you were with me watching that press conference yesterday, it was so nice. They thanked the public for their help, you know. It's like nobody said, oh, you YouTubers. Thing is, what happened in the Nicola Bulley case is they did not control it properly. That's the point. You know, if you saw what it was like at that around that perimeter where JLR was when we were following JLR and he was there. You know, the police controlled it. They told people where they could be, where they couldn't be. They were polite to them. They let them do what they, you know, you've got to face in this day and age, you're going to get YouTubers, you're going to get people taking videos, you're going to get with social media and the speed that everything travels. You can't think, oh, you know, you can't live in the past 20 years ago when it wouldn't have happened and all this wouldn't happen. Move on, control the narrative. You are the police. You have to take the lead in these things. And this is what they're saying. So Miss Batul, I don't know if you saw that video with me. I did show the video that Miss Batul, the stepmother, made, which she described Sarah's death as an incident. She said Sarah's death was an incident. Let's see this video.
Energy Asia 2023 is an energy conference that highlights the voice of Asia in energy transition. It brings together the perspectives and wisdom of national and industry leaders to chart actionable pathways towards a sustainable future for Asia and beyond. We must not impose the same solution on everyone. We need to understand the complex situation faced by nations, businesses, and individuals.
I'm not really sure what it seems like. Anyway.
This evening, around 7:45 p.m., 3 people were arrested in connection with this investigation at Gatwick Airport. 2 men aged 41 years and 28 years and a woman aged 29 years were arrested on suspicion of murder after disembarking a flight from Dubai. They are currently in custody and will be interviewed in due course. Sara's mother has been informed of this latest update and is being supported by specialist officers. Our thoughts remain with her and those affected by Sara's death at this difficult time. This has been an extremely fast-moving, challenging and complex inquiry, and we remain absolutely committed to conducting a thorough investigation into Sara's death. We will not be commenting any further at this point and will provide further update as and when we are able to do so. Thank you.
Good. Okay, yeah, you know, the public aren't stupid. We don't expect investigations to be, you know, what's the word? We don't expect to be told about every single thing that's going on. We know that investigations have to be private. You know, we're not stupid, but just don't treat us as if we're idiots. That's all I would say. Now, another bit of news, but this is good news, I think. Now, I don't know if you know about Sarah Everard, and of course she was the poor girl that was kidnapped and murdered by a Met police officer, Wayne Couzens. But when this was the iconic photo, wasn't it? Because when people held a vigil for Sarah, it was in the middle of COVID, and the police just went in mob-handed and dragged this girl away. And she really stood out, I think, because of her lovely red hair. And it's Patsy Stevenson, and she was arrested. Anyway, Patsy Stevenson and Dane, I mean, the police went in absolutely mob-handed, totally over the top. Again, dealt with it just in the wrong way in my eyes. I mean, if you know, it led to the downfall of Cressida Dick, you know. Anyway, don't even get me started about her, because I was so angry about her, because she's a woman who was the chief constable or whatever, and she did nothing for women. Unfortunately, quite often, women who get into power, they don't do anything for other women. You know, anyway, I don't feel that Cressida Dick did anything for women. Anyway, she's not there anymore, thank God. So let's hope things are getting. The Met Police is having a hopefully a spring clean. This was one of the cases that led to it, Wayne Couzens, wasn't it? Anyway, they've had a payout. So they've won payouts from the Metropolitan Police. Good, they deserve it. Because there was, it was just dealt with wrongly, completely wrongly. Heavy-handed, you know, it was ridiculous. Women were bundled to the ground. Yeah, like as if they were criminals themselves. Anyway, so 2 years later, they have received some compensation, which is, so that is positive. Yeah, so that the actual, what's the word? The actual protest itself had been organised by Reclaim the Streets, which I love that group. I mean, it hasn't, you know, that group's been around for quite a long time, but unfortunately, I don't think things are any better now. If not, they're probably worse because there's less policemen on the street. Well, he was a policeman. Look what he did. But it's all about CCTV these days. You know, it's my contention that if a woman wants to walk home at 2, I mean, this wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning, it was about 9 o'clock, I think, in the evening. But even if it was, if she wanted to walk home at 2 o'clock in the morning in a miniskirt, she should be allowed to do it. You know, it's not, you can't victim blame. So, I shouldn't have been walking at 2 o'clock in the morning with a miniskirt on. Why? If a man walked the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning with shorts on, and he was attacked and raped and murdered, people wouldn't blame him for being there with his shorts on. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so, yeah, that's some good news. And there was just something else that I saw then for my favourite person, not Elon Musk. Oh, my God. I mean, he's crackers, isn't he? You know, I mean, he is crackers. But he's got so much money, you see, you can be crackers then, can't you? So Elon Musk refuses to answer if his ignorance and ego costs Ukrainian lives. So he's been accused of enabling Vladimir Putin by withholding the use of his satellite network. You know, he's just playing God, Elon Musk. I mean, he put that satellite network in to help Ukraine, and everyone lauded him and said how fabulous he was for doing that, etc. And then he withdrew it, didn't he, for some reason? And yeah, he wouldn't allow the Ukrainian forces to use the Starlink satellites for a drone attack. So, you know, now everyone's having a go at him. I don't even know what I think about that, really. I'm just anti-war. So that war, to me, I don't understand why it's even still going. I don't think Zelensky's interested in ending the war. I don't think there's any appetite to end the war from anyone. And the people that are suffering are not only the Ukrainian people, Russian people are suffering too, because they, you know, young boys, as soon as they're 18, they're getting called up and they're just being churned through like a meat grinder. You know, families never hearing of their sons again, or daughters even. You know, war is a terrible thing, and at the end of the day, the powers that be, for whatever reason that they're doing this war, which is very complex, much more complex than you're led to believe in the UK or the US. It's so complex. The reasons behind it goes back so far that, you know, I just don't know when there'll ever be an end to it. I can't see an end to it because neither side, you know, when wars happen, somebody somewhere in the end has to compromise. And if we both won't compromise, so what happens? It can't end, can it? So in the meantime, who's suffering? Ordinary people, as always. So, you know, Putin's not suffering. Zelensky's not suffering. You know, Zelensky's like a bloody celebrity, you know, and he's not a good, you know, you look into Zelensky, he's not that good. You know, he was hailed as a hero and everything at the beginning. That what load of rubbish. He's not a hero. The heroes are the people that just carry on day in, day out and living amongst it, trying to just sort of get on with life, etc. Just, anyway, That's my views on war in general. Okay, yes. Right, okay. So I just thought I'd give you a little update really on Sara Sharif. That was the idea of this video. And of course, I've ended up talking about other things. But yeah, I did get a good night's sleep last night because of not having to be up all night wondering whether Danilo Cavalcanti had been caught. And thanks to the dog, the K9, thanks to well, I can't just thank the dog. I mean, the whole team. It's a team. It's great. Okay, so I will be back later. I've got plans to do quite a few videos today because while the Cavalcanti thing was going on, of course, I was just concentrating on that. And I'm glad I did because it was great to be there at the moment, wasn't it? That it was, you know, suspect in custody. That was a nice feeling for everyone. Everyone could breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, so remember to always live and love wisely. I wonder what it's like living with Elon Musk. It must be. Well, he's just had another baby. Oh no, they just announced that his girlfriend is pregnant, I think. I wonder what it's like living with him. You know, he's the epitome of micromanagement, isn't he? You know, he's got this, he's a billionaire and he's bought Twitter and it's now called X, but he controls it like he's a real micromanager, isn't he? He has to be on top of everything. And personally, I don't like Twitter anymore. I'm still annoyed that my other Twitter account was just cancelled arbitrarily, and I still don't know what I did because it don't tell me. But yeah, just sometimes across, I think, wonder what it's like to live with you, because he just get up in the morning and he's on his phone looking at all his Twitter accounts, and then, you know, I mean, what does he do to relax? You just can't imagine him sort of, I don't know, just sitting having a beer and watching Netflix or something, but I'm sure he does. Okay, so yeah, remember to live and love very carefully, very wisely, and I will see you very soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you.